So we are grateful to go into Elihu's continuing presentation of what he thinks Job is going through compared to what Job sounded like he was saying he was going through and what he thinks God was going through. So Elihu, you could, if you just read one time or two, you would think he's a little proud because he's like, okay, I got all the truth. If you guys are smart, you're going to listen to me. If you have any understanding, you're going to listen to me. The wise men listen to me. So he continues that kind of conversation. I don't think he was proud necessarily. Perhaps, I'm not sure. I can't read his heart. But it comes across that way. And we're going to see at the beginning of chapter 36, and we're going to hopefully go into 37 as well. We're going to see that he kind of continues that same thing. Now, he does have a right understanding of God, but he doesn't seem to have the right understanding of this situation, because he condemns Job, and we know that Job is the one that is eschewing evil and turning from that which is in this world, but would rather die than blaspheme, right? So he is, this whole situation still continues. It's like, as Job's world turns is kind of the idea that we're going through here. So sharing my screen here in Job 36, Elihu also proceeded. He continued on. Suffer me a little. It's like, okay, we've been suffering with you for a lot here, buddy, but no, that's okay. Suffer me a little, and I will show you that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. Like, I am God's spokesman. I have been sent here by God, and like I said before in the previous chapters, if you're smart, you can listen to me. I will fetch my knowledge from afar. Of course, that's where we all get knowledge, is not from within, but from afar, from the Lord. We know about that ladder in Genesis chapter 28. And I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker, not to myself like Job has done. For truly, my words shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with you. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, you're here on God's behalf, so you're not saying that God is here, but he that is perfect in knowledge is with you. How? Well, through Elihu. So he's pretty strong on himself, and you're thinking, okay, man, this is a little bold here, but he was confident, which, hey, we can be confident. There is a reality in the fact that I could say, like, I know for sure that God teaches that there is one God. I know for sure that God teaches that that one God himself has a son. His name is Jesus Christ. I know for sure the seventh day is the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? So there are things you can know for sure. But we're always here to learn. And Elihu, I know he's said a lot, but it kind of comes across like he doesn't need to go, down that road anymore saying, hey, I'm still here to learn. He kind of just speaks out like, hey, I got you. I'm the one with the truth. God is giving me information. If you're wise, you're going to listen to me. So it kind of comes across that way as a little bit proud. Verse 5, which is a new paragraph. Behold, God is mighty and despises not any. He treats everybody the same. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. Okay, that's a good start. We're definitely not ascribing it to himself. He's ascribing it to God, as he said he would. He preserves not the life of the wicked. So God doesn't do that for the wicked. He only does that for the righteous. Obviously, that's not wise, because how are you going to win the wicked if you're not giving them any benefits? You see, because God, according to the Bible, gives the rain on the just and on the unjust, is what Jesus said. That's kind of what Job was going through. It's like, listen, the good guys and the bad guys go through good and bad stuff. And everybody else was kind of saying, no. The wicked guys go through the bad stuff. The good guys, they don't. And here, Elihu's kind of going down the same path that the three friends did before. And so here, Jesus was saying the sun shines upon the righteous and on the unrighteous. And so that's not what Elihu is saying. Elihu is saying God blesses those that are good, and he doesn't even uphold those that are wicked. Well, you can see, he doesn't preserve the life of the wicked, but he gives right or judgment to the poor. So judgment, what they get, that's what they get, is not having a lot of money. He gives right, or this word is actually like judicially, a pronunciation, a verdict. He gives it to the poor, which would be, to those that don't have any money. And so if you are wicked or die, it's because God didn't preserve you. If you are poor, it's because that's what you get. You're a wicked, wretched man. He withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, though. Oh no, God really cares for the righteous. But with kings are they on the throne. Yea, he doth establish them forever. And they are exalted. Why? Because they're righteous. They're good. They've gotten wealth. That's kind of the same thoughts that the Pharisees had during the time that Christ was on earth. And that's likely where they got it from, is from the four friends of Job. I'm not sure. I'm just saying that that's possibly a foundation. If they be bound in fetters and be holden in cords of affliction, then God would show them their work and their transgressions that they have exceeded. He opens also their ear to discipline and commands that they return from iniquity. And guess what? They do. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in what? Prosperity. There's the prosperity gospel again, just as one of the three friends had said before. I don't remember who it was. But it's right there. This is the same kind of thing that one of the three friends was saying. If you serve God, you will be prosperous. You're going to have gold. You're going to have silver. All this stuff is going to be yours. And remember, Job was like, wait. Sure, your character is going to shine like gold. Your actions will be like silver. And he was like, yeah, sure, all the stuff on the earth that's not gold and silver, if you go a little bit deeper, that's where you find the gems, the beauty, the gold, the glorious things. It's under the skin. You guys aren't looking deep enough. But they're thinking, just like this guy here, Elihu, no. If you're blessed, you're going to be wealthy. You're going to be prosperous. God is going to bless you. But if you're not, you're going to be like Job. I mean, that's really what it is. Job, you don't have children. Where's your bulls? Where's your camels? Where's your wife? Where's your family? Where's your house? And so really it's kind of the same thing as it has been. If they obey and serve, they will spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. But if they do not obey, they shall perish by the sword. They shall die without knowledge. Oh wait, didn't we look that up before? Without knowledge? We sure did. And who's saying it? Elihu. There's one more time he'll say it, I think, unless he said it twice already. But I think one more time he says it, and that's where we can find that he was the one that God referred to when God starts speaking in 38, saying, who is this that speaks to you without knowledge? And that would be using the same phrase that Elihu has used. But the hypocrites in heart, those that are wicked, those that are not wealthy, that do not live long, they heap up wrath. You know, there's a truth to that, because Romans chapter 2 actually says that kind of thing. But it doesn't seem right in this book. They're giving too much to the judgment of God against the wicked, and not enough balance that, hey, some of the wicked even are treated well. They cry not when he binds them. So they don't even cry out saying, like, God, you're doing me wrong. They're just maybe blaming God. I don't know. I don't understand how to mention this one here in this context. But certainly the hypocrites, compared to those that are in prosperity, are wretched instead of righteous, right? So they die in their youth. Job, kind of like your kids. Where are your children, Job? And their life is among the unclean. Like, okay, your kids are dead, but your life is unclean, Job. So where are your kids? Where's your wife? Where are you? What are you? Are you saying you're righteous even though you're in this experience of all the wicked that I just talked about? Verse 15, which is a new paragraph. He delivers the poor in his affliction, and he opens their ears in oppression. Oh wait, that's a good one. I mean, like, really, that's what God does, right? He sends affliction to deliver those that are poor, and he sends oppression to open the ears of those that are oppressed. Even so would he have removed you out of the straight and broad place where there is no straightness. If in fact, Job, you were righteous, if your heart was right, Job, he would have delivered you out of being poor. He would have opened your ears in this oppression. He would have done this to you, but you weren't listening. And that which should be set on your table should have been full of fatness. But because you're evil, Job, he's not delivered you out of the straight place, and your table is not full of fatness. And so there's a comment here. It says, let me see, maybe they don't cry out because they know they are guilty. Oh, that's very possible. Thank you. That's a good comment. And so they don't cry out, as it says here, because perhaps they know they're wretched and they don't have anything to say. They're kind of like the guy that was in the wedding where he was speechless. And I think it's Matthew 22. I'm not sure on that one. 22? Something like that. And so it says here, listen, Job, if you were right, you wouldn't be in a straight place and your table would be full of fatness. But you have fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Look at yourself, Job. Judgment and justice take hold on you. This is your right. This is just. This is what God is doing in justice and judgment. But you're not listening to God. Remember, he was saying, Job, if you knew God, you would know that if you're wicked, you're treated with this kind of activity like you're going through. And you're saying God isn't speaking up. God isn't speaking to you. You're not able to have a face-to-face with God. If you just look around, you would know that he is speaking through his judgments. He's treating you correctly. You are wicked. And Job is like, hand on the, or palm on the face. No, I'm not. I'm not doing anything wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. You're trying to read my heart, but you're not doing it well, because my heart is telling me I have not gone contrary to God. I'm not getting what's going on, but it's not because I'm wicked. Oh, so you're righteous. Well, yeah. And so God is wrong because you're being mistreated the way that wicked are treated. It's like, no, not exactly. And this whole thing keeps going around in circles and circles and circles. And God pretty soon is going to speak up, but after these 2 chapters. We're going to see, hopefully next time we're together, judgment and justice take hold on you, Job, because you're wicked. This is why. Because there is wrath, beware lest he take you away with his stroke. God is angry with you. He's about to kill you. Then a great ransom cannot deliver you. I mean, you couldn't pay more than what you had. He's already taken everything that you've had. He doesn't need more. But even a great ransom couldn't deliver you from this, Job. Will he esteem your riches? Oh, never mind, Job, you don't have any more. No, not gold, nor all of the forces of strength. You don't have enough, Job, to pay your debt. You are wretched. Desire not the night. When it's dark and there's nothing around for you, when people are cut off in their place, and this cut off thing, I think, means dead. Let's see, cut off, to ascend, to be high, used in a great variety of senses, to arise, to ascend up, to break the day, bring up. So maybe this is the spirit ascending to God who gave it. That doesn't mean soul, it means spirit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how this works. So, yeah. Anyways, don't you desire the night when people are cut off in their place? When it sounds to me like death, I'm not sure. And of course, Job was saying, yes, I want to die. You remember that? He was saying, I want to die. I want God to kill me. He didn't want to break the law by killing himself. He wasn't going there. But he was praying several times for God to take his life. And so here Elihu is saying, well, don't you want to die? And Job's like, yes, I really do, but I don't want to take my own life. I want God to do that for me. Take heed, regard not iniquity, Job, for this have you chosen rather than affliction. It's like you're not learning from the affliction. Instead, you're choosing your iniquity. And if you continue doing this, Job, pretty soon you're going to be cut off. You're going to be killed. There's going to be a stroke that brings you to death. Don't you desire to die? Come on, look at yourself. And so he is regarding iniquity, and he's choosing this iniquity rather than affliction. Behold, God exalts by his power. Who teaches like him? So like if you're righteous, you're exalted. But if you're not righteous, you're not. Who hath enjoined him his way? Enjoined in this case means trained or taught him. Who has, where did I find that? By analogy, to oversee. Who has overseen God? Who has appointed him? Who has committed unto him or done judgment for him? Who has overseen him? Who has visited or taught him, if you will, his way? This is God, what God is doing. Or who can say, you have wrought iniquity? Well, you can't say that. You can't say that God is wrong, Job. God has treated you this way because you have regarded iniquity, and you have chosen iniquity rather than this affliction as a teacher. You would rather have everything that God doesn't want you to have, and that's why you're going through this. And that's what we're seeing here in this. Who has adjoined, or who has instructed or encouraged God in his way? Or who can say, why have you done this wrong, God? Why have you done this iniquity? You can't. God isn't wrong. Verse 24, new paragraph. Remember that you magnify his work, which men behold. You are a representative of his. And if you're his representative, he's going to treat you well. Every man may see it, man may behold it afar off. If you don't treat God well, he's not going to treat you well, and then people will know just by the way you're treated who you are. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. This is the part where we're saying that God really is understood here by Elihu. He makes small the drops of water, and they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof. So the small drops of water would be like vapor. I think he's basically repeating himself here. This is kind of like one of those parallelisms. He's making small the drops of water. Okay, a drop of water is already small, but now he's talking about vapor. Okay, we have like evaporation here talked about. And when evaporation occurs, I've seen this little chart and watched those videos online years ago. There's water that's on the earth, and the sun gets hot, and there's evaporation that occurs, which brings water upward. It collects in the cloud to the point where it gets heavy enough to where it rains. And then it is brought again into that, river or ocean or lake, whatever. And then it's evaporated again. It fills the clouds, and then it rains. And it's just like basically the cleaning of the air, the cleaning of the ground, the cleaning of the water. God is brilliant in the way that he's established the rain system so that it's all just constantly cleaning, kind of like your fish bowl or your fish house, where you have to have the water constantly oxygenated by those bubbles and the movement, or else it's just going to get stale and turn green and the fish will die, right? So the same thing was with water. And here, God is brilliant, because here he's talking about like he makes the drops small, they turn into vapor, he's filling the clouds, and that's what we're going to be talking about in just a moment. It says there in verse 28, the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Why? He makes small the drops of water, and they pour down rain according to the vapor. After it's been vaporized, it goes up into the clouds and they become water drops, right? And this is the clouds that drop water and distill upon man abundantly. God is brilliant. He cares for everybody. Also, can any understand the spreading of the clouds? I mean, can you know what God is doing? How does he spread clouds from one place to another? Or the noise of his tabernacle? I was wondering as I was reading this, and I found out that noise actually is referring to the thunder, okay? A loud clamor, right? A shouting, a stirring. So if you go to other versions of the Bible, I don't generally bring them up here, but I do go to them. And this is translated thunder, if I remember correctly, in other locations. And then behold, and that's where we're going to talk about light, which is lightning. Behold, he spreads his lightning upon it, which if you double click this one, it is actually translated lightning, just not here. And so he spreads his lightning upon it, and he covers the bottom of the sea. I was wondering, like, okay, he spreads his lightning or light upon it, which is what? The tabernacle, the clouds, the earth, basically. He spreads his light upon it, whatever it is down below here on the earth, and it covers the bottom of the sea. So I was wondering, like, okay, I've never done this homework, but I was just thinking, to me it makes sense that water does allow for light to pass through, okay? But I wonder if it's 100% accessible. Like, is water so, I don't even remember the word now, conductive, that it allows for light to shine without dimming it? I don't know, but it seems to me that the further you are away from light, the darker it gets. Okay, that makes sense. I've been down in some fairly deep areas in water, and I just know that even in some of the movies, the further you get, the darker it goes, the darker it is, right? Even when the sun is shining. But I'm wondering, if lightning is sharp enough, bright enough, powerful enough, that it may penetrate even down to the very bottom of the ocean. Now, I don't know. There are those fish down there that have those like lights that glow so that other, critters will come and try to bite that and then they get eaten. They, I don't think, see light. I'm not sure. I've never done the homework, but it's interesting how that this would talk about that, and that it says that can you understand how God is spreading his light, his lightning? Can you understand the clouds? Do you know that it even covers the bottom of the sea? So that's what I'm talking about here. If it covers the bottom of the sea, maybe lightning does shine all the way down. I don't know. I'm just asking the questions. So some of you who understand this stuff better, maybe you can bring it up. For by them he judges the people. So by what? By lightning, by thunder, by rain, by his light that illuminates. And of course, we could talk about the meaning of the clouds, the meaning of the thunder, the meaning of the rain. And we can say that God does bring his blessings upon humanity through the rain, which would be his spirit, through the clouds, which would be referring to the angels, which actually hold the rain, which is the spirit, right? So that's how the rain goes from one location to another, and that's where it drops from, is from the clouds itself. And the lightning also comes from the clouds, which is the voice of God if you do any study in the Bible. And what you have them come through and from is from the clouds. And so we can learn a lot about the clouds. That's where the rain comes from. That's where the lightning and thunder comes from. That's the voice of God and the Spirit of God. And so it's like Job is being talked to by Elihu about the clouds, the rain, the lightning, the thunder, the voice of God, the power of God. And this is how God judges his people. And so, yeah, it's really quite interesting how all this is making even better sense as I'm explaining it. So by them, he judges his people. He gives meat or food in abundance. With clouds, he covers the light. So not only are the clouds bright, as we have seen in so many parts of the Bible, but he also covers the light with the clouds to make the light dark. He commands it not to shine by the cloud that comes betwixt. And so clouds can be a source of light with lightning. They can be bright clouds, or they can cover the light. It's depending on what God is doing. And God is definitely the Lord of the clouds. Could you say the Lord of hosts? And he's doing what he will with those clouds. The noise thereof, which would be the lightning and thunder, shows concerning it, whatever his business is. The cattle also concerning the vapor. Now I was wondering, what does this mean? Well, the noise of those clouds is thunder. You know that God is doing something with clouds when you hear the noise. You can hear it from afar. Well, you can tell that the Lord has done something with his clouds by the cattle. How? By the vapor or dew that's on their back, right? And so when you wake up in the morning and you see that there's a cow with some dew or vapor on the back of it, you're like, you know what? It must have been, like there must have been some rain here. Or perhaps just it was, high humidity in the area. So sometimes you can wake up and like on your vehicle there's water on your windshield. It's because the humidity is high. Doesn't necessarily mean it rained, but God is doing something with the clouds and the wind and the rain, etc. So there's a comment here. I will take it. And it says morning dew. Yes, dew. Did I say that incorrectly? Maybe the vapor, the dew. Maybe I said it wrong, but yes, you guys are on the same track I am. I probably just said it differently. So now we're in chapter 37. New paragraph. At this also my heart trembleth, and is moved out of its place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, like listen to what God is doing, and the sound that goes out of his mouth. Remember, we have already talked about lightning, we've talked about thunder, which is the noise coming from the clouds, and now here we're talking about his voice. That's one of the ways you can see that God's voice is talked about in regard to the illustration of the lightning. Now, he directs it under the whole heaven, his lightning unto the ends of the earth. This is God's business. He's doing it. After it, a voice roars, which would be the thunder. He thunders with the voice of his excellency. So this is God's voice again. And he will not stay them when his voice is heard. And so God is doing his work. He's doing it through clouds, he's doing it through thunder, he's doing it through lightning, he's doing it through rain, through dew. This is how God does his business. God thunders marvelously with his voice. Great things he does, which we cannot comprehend. So really, he does understand God. He's way beyond our understanding. New paragraph, verse 6. For he sayest to the snow, be thou on the earth. That, by the way, comes from clouds. Likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain of his strength, which comes from clouds. By the way, rain is equal to his strength. The great rain of his strength. So it's like, if you want the latter rain, it comes from the clouds, and it is equal to or equivalent to his strength. Okay, so that great strength, which is his word, his truth, the strength of his truth in your life will be the latter rain coming down upon you from the clouds. Amen. So he seals up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. So he seals up the hand of every man. I'm not picking this one up in my mind. Maybe you guys can help me. Sometimes I go through these verses in the morning and I feel like I understand them, but then sometimes when I'm trying to teach, I'm like, what does that mean? I always see Abba, Father, using the east wind when he's upset. Hey, that's a good thought. I'll definitely have to think that through a little further. Thank you for sharing. He seals up the hand of every man, so your hand is not able to do anything. Sealing up would be like to mark. Hey, look at that. He puts a mark on the seal of the hand of every man. Ah, you got the mark of the beast here, huh? I don't know. We're just pulling at strings now, I guess. But he seals up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into dens and remain in their places. Aha! So when it's raining, when there's small rain or the great rain of his strength, that's when men can't work. Their hand is sealed up. They can't do anything. All men may know that this is God doing it. Even the beasts themselves go into their dens and they remain in their places while it is raining, right? I've got dogs. I know what it's like. When it's raining and we've got a doghouse, where are the dogs? They're in the doghouse. They know better. They understand we're not just going to sit out here in the rain and be like, oh man, this is cold, this is wet, I don't like this. They're going to get out of the way. And that's what men do. They're like, I know what it's like to have rain, especially being in Georgia now. It rains a lot here. I'm so thankful. I love the rain here because when it comes down in torrents and then it's gone. It's like right on, because like sometimes in California when it rained, it would be for days. Sometimes it would only be a little bit, but I don't like the days of rain so much. It's just nice to have it rain a little bit and then be gone. And plenty of humidity here for sure. So that's why I think he's sealing up the hand of the rain of the men and the beasts going into the dens is because of the rain. Out of the south comes the whirlwind. Aha! So this is not the east, but I hear what you're saying because I kind of pick up what you're going through. But this one, it would be God teaching a lesson out of the south with a whirlwind, right? And the cold would come out of the north, and so it's the breath of God, by the breath of God, that frost is given. And the breadth of the waters is straightened. So the straightened would be in anguish. So straightness. Okay, so if you've got a lot of rain, a lot of storms, that's from God. And if you've got a little bit of rain or a little bit of water because the water is straightened, that's also from God. Also by watering, he wearies the thick cloud. So a thick cloud would be one that has plenty of water, right? So by watering, by the vapor coming up from the earth, going into the clouds, or gathering there, they're becoming thick. And he scatters his bright cloud. So his bright cloud, like I was talking about before, sometimes the clouds are dark because they're covering the light, sometimes they're bright clouds. And it depends on how thick it is with water, whether it's bright or whether it's dark, right? And it is turned round about his counsels. So he can direct the storm if he wants to, that they may do whatsoever he commands them upon the face of the world in the earth. God is in control of all things on this earth, even the storms, the rain, the trouble that comes, the east wind, the south whirlwind. He causes it to come, whether for correction or for his land or for mercy. So it is God that's causing these storms. And you, Job, are in the midst of a storm. It's not because you're righteous, it's because you're wicked, basically is what Elihu seems to be saying. And then it says back in verse 14, a new paragraph, "Hearken unto this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know when God disposed them and caused the light of his cloud to shine?" I mean, like, are you in God's control? Do you know when he does things and when he doesn't? Do you know the balancing of his clouds, or the clouds, the wondrous works of him, which is perfect in knowledge? Obviously the answer is no, you don't know these things. How your garments are warm when he quiets the earth by the south wind? Like, how do you know that God can even warm you with garments when he sends us a cold south wind? Those things we don't understand, we don't even know. How, or rather, hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, as a molten looking glass? Like, you don't know these things. A molten looking glass. What is molten? I haven't looked this up. Something cast. Something that's firm, molten, something that's poured out. So like maybe brass or silver, or something that's like a brass iron kind of looking glass, something that's used, which would be like a mirror here. And that's how of course they use or make telescopes, is by using mirrors, if I understand correctly. And they use that for cameras as well, and different things, video cameras. They often will use mirrors to refract images, and they come into a camera upside down and then they're turned the other direction. And yeah, there's a lot of science in the book of Job. I'm not a scientist, I don't understand all this stuff, but my mother read a book of Job kind of like from a scientific perspective, and there were some things that I appreciated from that. There were some things I didn't fully agree with, just because he was saying Job is not the book that you go to teach somebody who has lost everything about good things that are coming. Actually, it really is. He just didn't pick that part up. But there's so much science here. Like, think about all the different rain, the wind, the dew, the things that God does with lightning or light or darkness, and how there's the looking glass that's referred to, how the sky is spread out. All this stuff is just really interesting, and you could go into the depth of every one of these thoughts in a scientific way if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just trying to generally get the theological background behind this book, but there's plenty to learn in the book of Job. And so it says in verse 19, teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. We're dark. We don't know what it is that God is doing in his light, so we can't teach God. Shall it be told him that I speak? No, he already knows. If a man speaks, surely he shall be swallowed up. Like, I'm not going to speak to God because he already knows what I'm saying. Plus, if I speak to him as some kind of leader or director, then I'm just going to be swallowed up. It's like the ocean. I will be totally consumed, destroyed, covered up, eaten up. I'll be swallowed down or swallowed up. So, verse 21, which is the new and I think last paragraph. And now, men see not the bright light which is in the clouds, which would be the lightning, but the wind passes and cleanses them. So wind can pass by and cleanse or perhaps move the clouds. I'm not sure cleanses them. I don't know what them means. Like to purify, purge, cleanse. To make innocent or holy, like in a moral way. So the clouds are there, the light is there, the wind passes by and cleanses or purifies them, which would be the clouds, right? I guess. So not sure exactly what he means by this, but fair weather comes out of the north. With God is terrible majesty. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power and in judgment, and in plenty of justice. He will not afflict. Not if you're righteous, that is, Job. Now men do therefore fear him. He respects not any that are wise of heart. And so Job, it's your problem. It's not God's. God is wise. God is powerful. He creates. He can withhold. He directs wind. He directs storms. He can do all this stuff on his own. But if you are not righteous, how is he going to listen to you? What are you going to tell him what to do? Are you the one that's righteous and he's the one that's wicked? No, Job, you're the one that's in trouble. You're the one that has problems. And so this whole thing is going on just like it had with the previous three friends. But admittedly, he did it in a way that was a little more clever. And I still think, with the end of like 34 and 35, you could see that he definitely condemned Job. You're wrong. You're choosing wickedness, even in chapter, I think, 36 toward the end. You would rather have iniquity than learn from these chastisement or this affliction. And so he's really like condemning Job, not as one that is the priest-like figure as we had talked about, at least in my mind. I'm not trying to throw stones. I'm just saying that's what I've concluded. And we can see that Job is the one that ends up being able to pray for his friends later. We're going to read that. Job is the one that is able to be listened to by God. Job is the one that is kind of the mediator between those that are wicked and God. So Job is the Christ-like figure there. Job is the one that suffered without being condemned. Job is the one that is, as mentioned a few times before, he's the one that has the Christ-like figure. And I would like to be like Job. More than that, I'd like to be like Christ in my experience. I'd fully like to understand what it is that I can do in preparation for the days coming before me, so that I can be so rooted and grounded in truth, like settled into the truth, that I cannot be moved. My foundation is firm and sure. I don't want to be proud about it, but I want to know for sure, like, I understand what the Bible's teaching, what it is saying, what it's not. And if we can be that, if we can have this experience, then we can definitely be unshaken amidst the world going through all the stuff that it will in the future. So if that's your prayer, like it is mine, then let's bow our heads and we'll ask God for the ability to continue to learn and find that Christ figure in our life and follow him according to his words. All right, let's pray. Our God in heaven, I want to thank you that you've given us this opportunity to understand a little bit more of what it is that's being said here. Thank you for teaching us and guiding our minds. And Lord, I know that there are so many things that could have been said that weren't. I know that there's so much more to understand. This is just one pass, one man's pass at this book. If we went over it again, how much more would we learn? If somebody else taught it, how much more would we learn? So Lord, this is not the end of this book. It is not the end of the speaking, whereas now you're going to start speaking in this book, but this is just the beginning. We're learning so much, and it's exciting to me. I thank you. I'm praying that you would please help us that, like Job, in the midst of the coming trials, we can be on a sure foundation. We can be able to understand as much as possible, even in light of this book, that there is a controversy. There are those that are righteous on this earth. There are those that are not. There is a God of justice. There is a father of lies. There is an accuser of the brethren. When we have all these things and we understand the true controversy, help us to know our place, where we are in truth and in honesty, and by your grace may we end up on your side, the side of right. We thank you for this and ask your blessings in preparation for these coming trials. In Jesus' name, amen.